On Monday, MAGA world was stunned after the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago in connection with the 15 boxes of materials that Trump had taken from the White House. It's a little bit of a parting gift to himself. All right. So now the New York Times reported that some of the boxes may have contained classified material. That is the official explanation of why the FBI had gone into Mar-a-Lago and even broke into a safe. His safe. Well, I mean, what are you doing? I thought it's supposed to be a safe, not a can be broken into by the FBI, says Trump. Now, by the way, we find this out from Trump, who obviously complained about this. He said, among many things, many things, nothing is it like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. After cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. Oh, I'm sorry. Was he expecting the FBI to ask permission? Is that how that works? It's a raid. They're not supposed to have permission. That is not from the people that he is that they are raiding, but from a judge when they have gotten a warrant, which is what happened in this situation. Again, they had to go to a judge. They had to ask for a warrant. They had to present evidence of probable cause. So now for a former president to get raided by the FBI, understand that this is incredibly rare, that this does not happen all the time. And so the reason that this is so important is because of how rare it is and how high the bar has to be for them to actually do this action against a former president. And so, yes, they had to prove that there was a high enough risk. And this is a reason why they didn't ask or do a subpoena like a lot of the other Trump supporters, like people like Dan Bongino are like, oh, why did they just go and ask Trump for the documentation or the subpoenas? Because Donald Trump has a habit of flushing documentation down the toilet or eating it. So, you know, when you have somebody that is well known for getting rid of things, getting rid of documents in a way that, you know, again, clogs up your toiletry, then there's a risk that he's going to destroy evidence. Okay? And so they had to do something, or else, you know, he was going to get rid of the evidence.
Where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
You could never handle it, and you could never handle all the documents that would have flowed right through his toilet. So I'm sorry, but that's what they had to do.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
10 times, 15 times. Had to get rid of them. But anyway, again, if they announce that intention to, you know, search his home, then yes, he probably would have destroyed the evidence. And so they had to prove that to the judge, for the judge, a Trump judge, by the way, to sign off on this. This is not something the government took lightly. Now, of course, any nuance and understanding of how law enforcement works, or just how many hoops you have to jump through in order to get a warrant like this, was immediately lost on MAGA world. Because not long after the news of the raid, Trump's allies in the media raged. They just raged. And even called for the utter dismantling of the FBI. Now, to be honest, as a leftist, I'm not exactly entirely against that idea, you know, but obviously not for the same reasons. And I'll tell you why. The FBI has traditionally gone after leftists and socialists and shut down social movements from the left. Targets included Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Black Panthers. Now, normally, when they do that, the right wing is like, yes, shut down those lefties. Yeah, destroy them, crush them beneath our boots. Yeah. Now they're like, FBI mean. They're not happy with them because the target this time was a rich white Republican. And so now you have reactions. I'm going to show you just one of them here. This is from Steve Bannon. And here's what he said about what the Republicans will plan to do to the FBI.
We're at war. We're at a political and ideological war. The House leaders right now need to step up and recommit Jim Jordan. Full investigation. I think cutting off appropriations to the FBI to get to the bottom of this. And we're going to have to fight fire with fire. The way to do it is win elections, win them overwhelmingly, and then use the appropriations process to choke down the FBI and choke down the Justice Department.
Wait, is that Steve Bannon saying defund the police? Oh, that's interesting. Now, again, that's another idea that I'm not entirely opposed to. Defunding police. That said, when you hear it from people like Steve Bannon, who are criminals, you might think, wait a minute, there's a reason they want to defund the police, and it's not to make better policing or to help your community. No, it's so they can get away with crime. Okay, so now there's more. You have Paul Gosar, who on Twitter wrote this, and again, I'm going to show you a cavalcade of insane people who are now anti law enforcement. He said this: the FBI raid on Trump's home tells us one thing: failure is not an option. We must destroy the FBI. We must save America. Marjorie Greene, of course, tweeted an upside-down American flag, as well as tweeting this out: defund the FBI. Defund them. We have more. We also have Liz Wheeler saying, of course, abolish the FBI. We have Ronnie Jackson that is saying, tonight the FBI officially became the enemy of the people. The enemy of the people. Yeah, yes. Representative Anthony Sabatini, who is in Florida, made several different unhinged statements. One of them, of course, is that it's time to completely gut the FBI and DOJ. They're not capable of being reformed. Also saying along the lines of, hey, if anybody from the federal government shows up in Florida, we will arrest them. Cope and seethe, everybody. Cope and seethe. Candace Owens, interestingly enough, also weighed in. This is fun. Saying this: the FBI must be legally and formally dissolved. What happened to President Trump is positively stunning and a mark of unchecked government power. Bitch, you supported what happened to Breonna Taylor, that no-knock raid that killed her. The FBI went out of its way to make sure that Donald Trump wasn't home during this raid. They wanted to avoid any unnecessary confrontations, and you're saying this is the worst. This is the worst, and this is why we should defund law enforcement. Right. Okay. She then continued by saying, I no longer recognize the country I live in, left or right. We must all come together to fight this evil. This evil. Others, of course, called to waste time on investigations. For example, Lauren Boebert tweeted that she wanted the GOP to set up a select committee to investigate the FBI's politically motivated raid on Mar-a-Lago and all the fraudulent persecution of President Trump from our government. Governor Kristi Noem added, the FBI raid on President Trump's home is an unprecedented political weaponization of the Justice Department. They've been after President Trump as a candidate as president and now as a former president, using the criminal justice system in this manner is un-American. Yes, Kristi Noem, because the American justice system, don't you know, it's all about going after black people. Ron DeSantis, interestingly enough, said this: the raid of Mar-a-Lago is another escalation in the weaponization of federal agencies against the regime's political opponents. While people like, wait for it, Hunter Biden get treated with kids' gloves. Yes, Hunter Biden, of course. Look, among the Hunter Biden references, and there are plenty, there are also, where's her emails? Her emails! And he said, now the regime is getting another 87,000 IRS agents to wield against its adversaries? Banana Republic. And that's not even the most unhinged. Oh, there's more. There's always plenty more. Wayne Allen Root put this out on, I believe it was Truth Social, though maybe not. Some outlet. He put out a statement saying, "This is now officially Nazi Germany Gestapo meets Soviet Union KGB. But it will backfire spectacularly. The people send you sick Democrat communist scumbags who are imitating Nazis packing. You just lit the fuse. B-I-G. Mistake." Wow. You know, it's funny. The Nazis did have brown shirts. What were brown shirts? They were gangs of right-wingers that were doing vigilante justice against who? Oh, right. The left. Communists. Socialists. Educators. Professors. You know, anybody who would stand up against the actual Nazis in the far right. I just want to point that out. But look, let me also point out how the assertion, and I love this, okay? I love that this has been embraced by the right wing as a 100% political hit job from the FBI, from the deep state. And I love it because the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who is a member of the Federalist Society, who helped protect then Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh against a federal investigation, right? And is a man that Trump himself appointed to the position. That is somehow communism and deep state. Unless, of course, for some odd reason, Donald Trump continued to pick communists and deep state actors and leftists, you know, for those positions. But I thought he picked the best people, the greatest people. No. Okay, let's also note the irony that here you have the party of law and order that hates law and order. Oops. And of course, it's because it actually affects one of them. Now, again, I remember when the right loved the FBI, when they announced an investigation, for example, into Clinton's emails in 2016. Remember what they chanted? Oh, right. Lock them up. Or lock her up, sorry. They chanted, lock her up, lock her up. They had whole rallies about locking up their political opponents for no reason. But no, when it comes to holding any Republican, any right-winger accountable, well, that's when it goes too far for them. That's when they're not in favor at all. No. Again, remember, law enforcement in the United States has always traditionally targeted left-wingers. And by the way, they still will, and they still do, and they'll never stop, of course. But you've had them, again, go after Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, MLK Jr. You know, if you're a leftist South American government, the United States is coming after you. And you either hear not a peep from the right wing, or, again, a lot of people in the Democratic Party as well. But you also hear from the right praise. Oh, we love what you're doing here. So understand, their outrage is very, very selective. But again, you come after a former president who oversaw an insurrection. And by the way, as far as I know, this is not related to that. It's related to documentation, apparently, that he had taken from the White House when he left, that he was not supposed to. Records, right? Well, you know, you go and try to get those things back. Well, that's when they suddenly hate law enforcement, of course. But look, again, the whole point of the modern GOP is to do one thing. It's to destruct government. Why? So that the rich can rob you and get away with crimes. That's why you take the cops off the beat. At least when it comes to the higher cops. That's why these people, you know, fearmonger about the 87,000 new IRS agents. They put out messages saying, oh, they're going to come after you. Those IRS agents are coming for you. No, the reality is the IRS is currently focused on poor people. Why is that? Because poor people are easier to audit, easier to extract money from when you have no resources. They didn't have the resources to go after the real tax cheats. And look, it's because, again, the right despises law enforcement if it comes after them and loves it when it comes after the weak.